Thank you so much for being here tonight. I know that a lot of you may have had a full busy day already, and it is 7 o'clock, and so I plan to entertain you and infuse you with some essential oils that keep you awake and alert and enjoying and absorbing all the good information that you're about to receive. Just a little bit of background about me in case you were wondering. Like Garrett said, my name is Amy. I have a bachelor's in environmental science, so my background is environmental science. I've been in the natural products industry for 25 going on 30 years, so this is really something I'm absolutely passionate about. Organic is really important to me, and we'll take a look at organic and why that really matters tonight when it comes to scientific aromatherapy. The other things that you might find a little bit interesting that I'll just mention about myself is that I'm a certified yoga instructor, so that's another one of my passions, and a certified holistic nutrition consultant. So I've worked in, like I said, the natural products industry for a number of years, both in retail, running a cafe juice bar. I was an outside sales rep for a decade, and I've been national educator for about 6 years of my period of time in the natural products industry. So I hope to bring to you a variety of information that kind of really brings the information to you in a holistic, well-rounded viewpoint. So with that said, I'd like to just kind of give you a little bit of background and introduce you to the term scientific aromatherapy. So as you can see on this slide, aromatherapy was a term that was first used in 1928 by a French chemist, René Maurice Gattefossé. And he was, as I mentioned, a chemist who was very passionate about studying the therapeutic benefits of essential oils and the chemical constituents within. So when we talk about scientific aromatherapy, you've probably heard the term aromatherapy, and in a lot of cases we think of aromatherapy as a fragrant candle or something that makes our house smell better. But really, this term was coined in 1928 with the intent to study the chemistry and how it has a therapeutic effect on the human body. So it really wasn't just about fragrance, it was about harnessing the biochemistry, the plant chemicals, and utilizing them for human health and well-being. And we'll talk about the term therapeutic a little bit later and how that relates to essential oils. But when you hear scientific aromatherapy, what that just denotes is that it sort of reiterates the point that aromatherapy is all about science. It's all about studying and cataloging essential oils and the chemicals within and what their physiological effects are on the human body. So scientific aromatherapy is all about harnessing plant chemicals for human health and well-being. Now, plants make essential oils to support their immune systems and to support their survival and well-being. As you can see in that very top, perhaps it might be a little tiny, but of the 250,000 identified plants, only about 450 produce essential oils, and of those 450 essential oils, only about 150 are useful in scientific aromatherapy. So this is a really specific subset of the plant kingdom that we can harness the power from and utilize for our well-being. Essential oils were once called quintessential oils. So it was believed that they were the quintessence or the fifth element. Things back in the time of Aristotle were believed, all beings were believed to be made up of 4 elements: fire, water, earth, and air. But then there was this fifth inexplicable element that they just couldn't put their finger on, and so they termed that quintessence. Later, that life force or that quintessence was shortened to essence. A little teeny bit further of background is that you'll still see the word spirit. It was believed that this quintessence was the spirit of all beings. So when the essential oils were distilled, it was believed that they were distilling and harnessing and pulling the spirit out of the plant for our well-being. So I think that's some interesting background. You'll also still see the word spirits when you go to the liquor store to buy some brandy or something like that, because it was believed that putting those plants, corn, grape, in a still and bringing it down to the essence they believed that the whiskey and the brandy was the essence of the plant or the spirit of the plant. So it's kind of interesting. We know that plants make essential oils to fight bacteria, fungi, viruses, pests, and other threats to their well-being and to their reproduction. But essential oils also are produced by plants to attract pollinators and to attract seed scatterers, which is like a large lumbering animal that would hit a plant and then cause that seed pod to spread. Have you ever been in your garden where you kind of accidentally hit something and the seed goes, and then you're like, because there's thousands and thousands of weeds that you just scattered everywhere? Well, that's a force of nature, and essential oils are made by plants to attract those seed scatterers as well. And they serve other purposes. But the important part to know is that essential oils made by plants to support their well-being can be harnessed so that we may use them to support our immune systems. We can use them to help strengthen our defenses against microbes. And we can use them to help our reproductive systems as well. So when we use essential oils like lavender, and we'll look at lavender shortly, to help calm and ease the central nervous system, anytime we are in a more restful state, we digest better. You've probably heard the rest and digest principle. When we are stressed, our energy goes to our major muscle groups, so we're ready to run from a predator. Today, we are not running from a predator. That's not what's creating our stress. We're running from creditors, or we are running from, running to a meeting, or getting in our car and fighting traffic to get where we need to be. So when we're stressed, we don't digest well. That may also affect our reproductive system. So simply using an essential oil that helps us calm down may increase our chances of reproduction of our species as well. So not only do these essential oils serve plants, their reproduction and their survival, they can also serve the same functions for we humans. Now, it's very important to know that when the plants are sprayed with chemicals and pesticides that, in a sense, do the job for the plant may not produce the same quantity and quality of essential oils. So when the plants are sprayed, if they had a voice, they might say, "Oh, we can take the day off. Those chemicals are doing the job for us. We don't need to express those chemicals anymore. Those chemicals are going to cover the job for us." So that's why organic is so important. We want the plants to be able to grow of their own volition and express all of those natural chemicals that make up essential oils that we can then use. Also, it takes a massive amount of plant material to make just a small amount of essential oil. So you'll see a few bits there. 1.3 million roses are required to make a cup of essential oil. And 2,000 pounds of lavender blossoms yield a gallon of essential oil of lavender. So each plant yields different amounts of essential oils. Obviously, lavender yields more essential oil for a smaller amount of plant material, so lavender will have a lower price point. Rose is really quite precious. It has a lot of guidelines and parameters about when you can distill it. Typically with roses, when they're picked, they should still have some of the morning dew on them. This all needs to happen before the sun gets too high in the sky. And there's really no good way to transport those roses to the distillation equipment, so mobile distillation units are brought to the roses so that we can gain those essential oils at the peak of their freshness and quality. So 50 roses make, can you guess how much essential oil? A drop, exactly, not even a teaspoon. About 50 roses, 40 to 60 or thereabout, are required to make a single drop of Rose Otto essential oil. So this is why rose is so costly. It's a very precious essential oil. Now, I'm sorry? Does rose heal everything? Not necessarily, but it is really precious and it's amazing, yes.
Okay. Can you tell me what it does?
Yeah, you can use rose for emotional uplifting. It's long been known as an aphrodisiac, so a little bit on some pulse points can help with attracting your pollinators and so on. So keep keeping in mind that about 50 roses make a single drop, this concentration is also a key reason why organic is so important, because if those 50 roses are sprayed with pesticides and then put in the distillation equipment, you may run the risk of concentrated synthetic pesticides in your final end product. Now, I'm often asked, how do essential oils, how do you get them out of the plants? And so there's a little bit of a graphic here with some numbers on it that I hope you can see. But essentially what happens is the plant material and the water are put in a chamber. The water is boiled, and when it's boiled at 212 degrees, it turns into steam, so it enters a gaseous state. That steam travels and rises and opens the pores of the plant material that's also in that chamber. The plant material releases the essential oil vapors, so essential oils are highly easily evaporative. So when you have the plant material, the steam opens the pores of the plants, carries those essential oil chemicals up in the steam. Eventually, they enter those condensation coils that you see in number 7, and the gaseous essential oil and the steam turn back into a liquid state. They then enter the final chamber, which, as you can see, 9 and 8. 9 are the essential oils, and 10 is the water that was the steam that's been turned back into a liquid state. Oil and water don't mix, so the essential oils rise. They have a smaller density than the water. The water is more dense. It sinks. The essential oils are pulled off, put in little bottles, and sold as essential oils in amber glass. And the water, with the water-soluble constituents of the plant, is sold as a hydrosol. So it's not that a hydrosol is an essential oil mixed in with water. It is a co-product of the distillation process, and it has the water-soluble properties of the plant, whereas the essential oils are the fat-soluble or lipophilic, fat-loving chemical constituents from the plant. So they're two different end products, but they're both produced through distillation. There are a couple of other ways that essential oils may be made. They may be cold pressed. So a lot of the citrus are cold pressed, meaning that they just press or express the essential oils out of the rind of the citrus. If you've ever peeled an orange in the sunshine, you can see the burst of essential oils that are being released from the little pockets that hold the essential oils. And so they just mechanically press them to gain those essential oils of citrus. There's also CO2 extraction, which involves carbon dioxide. It's also known as supercritical. And there is some extraction that involves solvents. The company Pronarome that sponsors this lecture this evening along with Sunflower Shop is a line that never uses any solvents in their essential oils. Typically it's hexane and other products, or I should say other chemicals that are used to extract the essential oils. But even though they remove the hexane, you may have some residue left in your final product if it's a solvent extracted essential oil. So you could look for CO2 extraction instead if you're looking for a more pure product. And then there's something else called enfleurage, which involves putting the plant material into fat and then filtering it, and then that fat is now infused with the essential oils. So we don't see that much here. Enfleurage is something that they do a little bit more in Europe. So when you're looking for essential oils, since such a concentrated amount of material is in a small drop, and maybe you're wanting to avoid synthetic pesticides, or maybe you really resonated with the fact that when plants are sprayed with pesticides, they don't produce the same quality of essential oils. Or maybe you're just an environmentally friendly, an eco-conscious individual who wants to support environmentally friendly practices, and you recognize that it takes millions of acres to make just small amounts of essential oils. And so when we spray the plants with pesticides, it affects the workers, right? There was just that recent lawsuit where the individual who was spraying the chemicals developed cancer and actually won. So we know that the individuals who are spraying the plants are affected. We know that not all those chemicals just remain on the plant. They go into the soil around them, sometimes into the groundwater. If it rains, it may run off into streams, lakes, and ultimately our oceans, which is, if we're not vegan, if we're pescatarian or something like that, this is our food source. So just sheerly knowing that as well is another reason to choose organic. I do know that sometimes people will say, some of the organic stuff costs a little bit more. So I always tell people, look at the Environmental Working Group's website. It's ewg.org for Environmental Working Group, ewg.org. And they'll give you every year a list of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 produce items. The Dirty Dozen are those which are most typically laden with pesticides. So you always want to kind of avoid them if you have the dollars to choose an organic version. Strawberries, peaches, red peppers are a lot of times on the Dirty Dozen list. So save your money, wait till the shoes go on sale, and then use the money that you save to buy organic Dirty Dozen produce. The Clean 15, onions, bananas, those are typically not laden with a lot of pesticides. So if you do need to save some money, that's somewhere that you can save your money as well. But when it comes to essential oils, I think it's really important to strongly consider organic. Now, when you are looking for essential oils, there are sometimes a lot of different terms that will be used on the labels. You may see pure, you may see therapeutic. I mentioned earlier that therapeutic is a great word. It insinuates that that product will have a beneficial effect on the body. But it itself as a term, just like pure or natural, is not legally defined, so it doesn't mean anything. The FDA does not regulate the term therapeutic. It does not regulate the term natural. It does not regulate the term pure. So when they're on labels, it is not legally defined what the parameters and guidelines are around those words. So what you do know that there are parameters and guidelines around are USDA Organic and EcoCert. USDA Organic is our national organic certification program. It's a governmental agency, and anytime a product is USDA Organic, it means that it won't have the plant material has not been grown with genetically modified seeds, that no genetically modified organisms have been added along the way, and that the final product has been tested to ensure that those guidelines have been followed. And there's more. There's rules around what types of pest deterrents you may use, what types of trellising or staking material may be used if a plant's a climber and it needs to be supported. But by and large, USDA primarily is probably most important to all of us, guarantees that there's no GMO seeds or seed stock or ingredients used or in the final product. EcoCert is a term that you may be a little less familiar with if you're not familiar with it at all, or if you're even familiar with it at all. EcoCert is a global organic certifying body. So EcoCert is the world's largest organic certifying body. It was founded in France in 1991. It's not a governmental agency. It's larger than that, and it's recognized in over 100 different countries. So if you see EcoCert on a label, it also means that no genetically modified organisms have been used to create that product. It also means that the pesticides and the pest deterrents that have been used have been approved. But it even goes further to regulate what type of packaging the product is stored in. So it's in glass, it's in sustainable eucalyptus paperboard or other compostable, biodegradable, recyclable packaging. So EcoCert is even more strict and stringent than USDA Organic, and when a product has the EcoCert seal on the label, you know that it is far beyond USDA Organic, and it's another excellent layer of protection. So those are good things to know.